Hello, I'm Gary Lyon and welcome to Access All Areas. Lots to talk about with a remarkable finish on Saturday night with the Eagles winning after the siren against the power. But Damien Barrett and Matthew Lloyd, you have to be impressed with what Adelaide, the Tigers and the Sydney Swans have done in the first week.
Yeah, they all play a brand of footy, Gary, that is worthy of winning a premiership because it's tough, brutal footy. I thought all three of them were really impressive wins, but I love the wins of the top two sides, the Adelaide and the Richmond Football Club, because they were the great opposition, whereas Essendon just didn't offer too much against the Sydney Swans.
The statements were made, weren't they, progressively? Thursday night Adelaide, Friday night Richmond, Saturday the Swans, and yet when you come out of the weekend, I don't think we learnt anything more or fresh about Adelaide or the Swans, but to me, Richmond was the real statement being made out of the first week.
I think what we learned collectively is don't bring heat, you're going to struggle, and this is the best, probably the best pressure side in the competition right now as we speak, and the other two might dispute it. The other two have probably got more strings to their bow at the moment, but right now, this was, I said during the court, spooked the Cats. So I think it takes a bit to spook a team that's been up and around finals for such a long time.
Yeah, you're right, Gary, and I think a lot of people are asking about the Western Bulldogs last year to this year, and the similarities I see is just the buy-in, the momentum that they've got, and the manic pressure that the Bulldogs provided, Damo. It's very similar to what Richmond have got going at the moment. Yeah,
it is. And back to Gaz's point about the Cats being spooked, Chris Scott conceded post-match that they did lack composure. Is that too simplistic to actually say what unfolded in that game, and can they come back?
Yeah, well, the extension of that is why did you lack composure? And a lot of it would be credit to Richmond because they forced their hand. And look, there's a history now and there's a worrying trend that's starting to build up. I've got concerns about Geelong on this ground, by the way. But look at these. I mean, that wasn't the first time he turned the footy over. And there was I think quite a few players that just found out again that the finals footy is another step up.
Yeah, you're right, Gary. I think the second tier midfielders for Geelong, Damo, poor game by Blixars, poor game by Menegola. Motlop let his side down again. In the front half of the ground, Parsons, Parfitt, Murdoch, can you rely on them in a final? I was pretty confident about Geelong going in, but those guys just left too much to Dangerfield and Duncan yet again.
And this Tom Stewart, was seeing him, and I forgive him. I mean, he's his first year. He was one out with Dustin Martin at times. He just made a couple of blues. And look, the frustration boiled over. I don't mind this. I mean, you've got to have strong conversations. At this stage, they certainly needed it with 10 minutes to go in the last quarter.
Tackles inside the forward 50 for the Cats, Gaz. It was a reason that Daniel Menzel was left out of the team, but it's not as if they rectified it by leaving him out.
No, Dan Menzel will be looking at it and go, well, if that's the reason I didn't play, then what the rest of you guys doing? They 21 tackles Richmond laid inside their forward half to 4. And that's telling. And not only that, Lord, I looked a bit further, 67 uncontested possessions in the forward half, which is about as bad as it gets for them. They couldn't get off their man, despite the fact that there's lots of space at the MCG. They just couldn't get off.
Yeah, he's made the call, though, that Menzel will play. I heard Chris Scott say that he's back in, so I'm not sure what's changed.
Really? So why do you change that on the back of one game?
Whether he just thought that they just couldn't score. Menzel's a proven goal kicker, so...
We've got 2 outs too, though. Colin Jasny will be out, and Guthrie, you'd think, with soft tissue injury, so he would be next in line.
Yeah, so I think you bring him in, 38 goals, and maybe Terry Taylor could go back to the back line.
Right. Yeah, Trent Cotchin was not as good as Dusty Martin on that game, but post-match he was still good, Gaz. Still doing the team captain thing.
We almost got through that talking about Dusty. We don't need to. Plenty of people will. He was unbelievable. But I thought Trent was outstanding too, by the way. He took responsibility for Dangerfield and then post-game took responsibility for the clean-up. And I love this. You know, I think small things, but sends messages about respecting your environment. We suspect, I've read where it's come from the All Blacks who have got this mantra as well, so leading on and off the field.
Yeah, I've said in the past about Trent Cotchin that what does he stand for as a captain, Damo? And I just think you've got to give credit where credit's due. He was brutally tough. And then to do that after the game shows why they're in a pretty good space at the moment.
Luke Shuey, we're not going to dwell on this too long. Free kick, yes or no? By the letter of the law, by the way the law is written at the start of this season, it's a non-free kick. No question about it when you read how the law is written.
Yeah, I see it differently, Gaz. I had no issue with it. I still have no issue when I look back on it now, although you, Lordo, do have an issue with it being paid, don't you?
I do, because when we watch it this last time, it starts a good tackle. And with the letter of the law, if you raise your arm like Shuey does and draw that free kick, well, that shouldn't be paid. That's how it's written.
High tackles over the last, 6 or 7 years. Number 1 in the comp is Joel Selwood. Number 2 is Luke Shuey. Joel Selwood on Friday night might have looked at that and thought, hello, because he didn't get paid Friday night. There were 4 or 5 on Friday night where he did his shrug and the umpire said play on. Correct interpretation.
It has been phased out, hasn't it? The rewarding
phased
of that
out
free kick.
and applied properly, Damo, is
the right to do it, credit fully, obviously, for Luke Shuey. Just seized the moment, absorbed the pressure. Little nervous smile just as he lined lines up, and we'll have a look at that again. But, gee, he handled this moment as well as any player could have.
Flushed it. I mean, if you're riding at home for the West Coast, you didn't have to have that nervous half a second to see whether the ball was going to go left, right, whatever. It was a goal from the minute it left the boot. So the feeling for Port Adelaide, unimaginable.
Unbelievable. The turnaround too. Beat the Adelaide Crows, get a final spot with Melbourne losing. Now they're into the last 6. So I just want to talk about Jeremy McGovern. I talk about him a lot. I remember I was disappointed with him earlier in the year with his performance on Joe Danaher. He just didn't want to defend. Well, you've got to make him defend. And they played young Todd Marshall. He's going to be a very, very good player. But I've said it 2 weeks straight now. It hasn't been listened to by Adelaide and now Port Adelaide. GWS must come in with a plan on this guy. And that is not kicking long high balls in. Play through him. Got to make him look silly early in the game.
And if you did in the end, would Tringove have been a better option for his competitiveness in the air in the contest? I too think Marshall's going to be a great player, very good player. But I think Tringove would have been more competitive.
Yeah, you'd think so in hindsight. Another big man for the Eagles who was outstanding and probably as crucial as anyone on the ground to win the game was Drew Petrie. It's just quite extraordinary what he did against Paddy Ryder, wasn't it?
He's just a warrior, really, Drew Petrie. You know what you get with him week in and week out, and they're going to lose some great players. Pritters, Mitchell, Petrie, they all have been done, but they're going to be hard to replace.
I love what he did. He took on mine and got inside Paddy Ryder's head to some degree. And well done to the Eagles. Been hard on them on this show.
Yeah, we all have.
And done what they needed to do, taking their chances. Good luck to them. And just Paddy Ryder, this ruck nomination thing's got to get addressed. It's a farce. Let's have a look at this situation here. We'll have sound up first, so you'll hear the umpire talk, and then we'll have a look at it and tell you exactly why this is such a joke.
Free. You have to nominate. Ask twice, Paddy.
And the reason Paddy's so frustrated, there he is, number 4. Yeah, me, hand up.
He's a ruckman.
He's a ruckman.
He goes up for a rucking contest.
The umpire needed to turn another 5 degree. And I think the umpire took it upon himself. I think he said just off at one stage, which I imagine is west off. But then he said no Port Adelaide. So he made up his own mind that there was no ruckman there when, in fact... And I guess what they would say that was Paddy hadn't yelled out loud enough. If you're a ruckman in the draft, Damo, not only do you have to jump, tap, run, endurance, you're now going to go and show how loud you can yell.
Well, something that has to happen now with Steve Hocking going into that footy operations chair at the AFL is to just fix that up so that we don't see that again. That's a ruckman doing his craft.
It's a joke, honestly. Hey, let's move on. Sydney Swans, they're falling into the tough half of the draw now, we suspect. The Sydney Swans are going to have to go through Adelaide as well as Geelong if they want to get to a grand final. But, gee whiz, you wouldn't want to play them.
No, you wouldn't. And one area we knew they'd beat the Bombers up most likely was Parker and also Kennedy through the midfield. But we didn't think they'd dominate the airwaves like they did on the weekend, and just thought... it was just everywhere around the ground. It started with this, their first ball inside 50. Danaher obviously took a specky first, but just the domination. Buddy even, this isn't his strength, but he was too good for Ambrose Evans spinning the ball on his finger there. Callum Sinclair was phenomenal, but Heaney, Callum Mills just going back with the flight. So it's an area John Worsfold would be bitterly disappointed because it was a lack of effort, really. I thought Tip and Woody got found out in a final, didn't compete hard enough.
Lack of effort?
Yeah, I just thought so, yeah.
Not just blown away?
Not just blown away. I just thought...
That's pretty damning.
A lot of this is just about Hurley for this. Have a look at his efforts in the game. What's this one? That's not a great effort for mine in a final. Where's the body contact? This one, trailing in again. Just thought it was a bit of a poor effort. Disappointing way to win.
If you're saying lack of effort, does that detract from the good of 2017?
Well, I think the good is making the final, but the effort in that game for mine, they were monstered, and I think they're better than that. They were lost by a point at that same venue only about 10 weeks ago.
All right, we're going to show you what happened post-game too, which is frustrating for a lot of Essendon supporters. They wanted to farewell Joe Watson and James Kelly, 2 great warriors. The decision not to show them was disappointing. Now, let's have a look at it. They had the option. They claimed they had to get out and go to the news. Here's Kelly and Joe Watson who are going to the huddle. This is them, walking to both sides that lined up at this stage, see Kennedy. Now, the producer or whoever has deemed it, well, we're going to show this package. This is a pre-cut package about what had happened during the day. Right there, you might be able to hear the cheering.
Yep.
That's for Joe and James Kelly walking through both teams that lined up. You can hear that hearing now.
So what you're saying is that they've gone to this organised package while this moment is happening.
Yeah.
And we've all made mistakes on live TV, but this is a production error, guys?
Yeah, of course we have. And look, as was explained this morning to me, it was had to get to the news. Well, here they had a minute or 50 seconds where they didn't have to get to the news. They had to get out of this package and show James and Joe walking off the ground. And someone's got to take responsibility for that, and I guess at the end of the day it's got to be the producer.
Yeah, and here now you've got Cameron Lingen, obviously Hamish McLaughlin talking when it was a time where we could have heard from Job Watson or seen Job and Kelly.
So remove the time component to this issue. Yeah, that's what you're showing.
As you said, we saw James and Job walking. That was the time to say, forget the pre-cut package, let's stay on the two players. Move on. Thursday night, seems a long time ago. Crouch boys, they sound like gunslingers from the West, don't they? They were awesome again. No Rory Sloane going into this game, Lordo. I thought maybe, and I don't know whether GWS have got one, to be honest, maybe Canelio had responsibility for Matt Crouch, but they had about 18 touches inside 15 minutes. Just
built for finals footy, the two of them. 58 disposals, 15 tackles, 11 clearances, 15 inside 50. So that is perfection, really, in finals, and that's why they'll be there at the business end. That's why they've got on top of the ladder, because it doesn't really matter who you lose when you've got tough players like that Damo ready to play finals.
Yeah, and the dynamic of Sloane coming back in, Lotto, how does that affect that magnificent machine that we saw on Thursday night?
Oh, it just adds to it, really. Yeah, I think when they play the Sydney Swans or Geelong in that prelim, you just want another layer of a tough midfielder on top of it.
Yeah, guys, Leon Cameron's got decisions that have been taken away from him in terms of Mumford and Cameron being injured. He's got decisions to make as well. What's the most crucial thing he has to do going into this weekend?
Well, the suspicion would be they'll bring Dawson Simpson into ruck and have Lobb and Patton play forward. I also think they'd think about not putting Simpson in at all. Just rucking Lobb, have Patton as your primary forward, and then play like they did against Melbourne, where they were forced the same way. Because they're playing a West Coast team who are going to come in a bit weary, having travelled twice, and they are going to go in tall, the West Coast Eagles, you would think. So the opportunity to be bold and run them off their feet, tackle, pressure, get their pressure count up, which is non-existent on Thursday. I've seen them do it. Take the game on against the tall West Coast and have the theme of run and pressure. I think it's the best way forward.
Look, they started terribly, didn't they, Lordo? And it didn't get any better for them on Thursday night. They were lacking in the midfield and just this decision-making to go wide on this occasion. You can see how early in the game this is, Gaz, and it didn't make a lot of sense then, and reflecting, and it just didn't get better for them from that moment, did it?
So the issue for them is that they were such a destructive attacking side. Well, they've lost that. So I think defensively, they held Walker, McGovern and Jenkins to only a couple of goals between them. Here's Rory Lobb's effort. I agree, put him in the ruck, make him fight and scrap. That's Williams going to ground. Brodie Smith keeps his feet, so that's not a great effort in a final either. So the whole issue for them, Damo, to sort out, and here's Lobb, obviously a bit of a brain fade, giving a handball. Eddie Betts, the cunning player he is, drags him down. Things went from bad to worse in a 14-minute patch in that second quarter. Here's the spread also from the midfield. So I think this is their issue. Can they be more effective through the midfield going to their forward line?
Look at this behind the goals. I mean, look at the white jumpers and their willingness to run both ways. Once this ball's decided, there's a few heading goal way. Now it's got to put your head down. Dylan Shield, Canelio, Hopper. They're the ones that have got to put their head down. I agree. I think they've got to be freed up. Maybe they will play with this dare and freedom on their home deck. It's a challenge. It's a great coaching challenge for Leon Cameron.
They're clearly inside the minds of the Giants during the game, guys. It may have even started before the game when they lined up for the national anthem. Tex Walker, we believe, suggested to the players they stand in this way, and while some teams link arms and hug each other, they decided to do it this way.
Yeah,
was it intimidating?
Oh, it depends. No, well, look at Don Pike. Did he out-psych Leon Cameron with that Power Ranger setup? Lordo, you've had experience with Sauce.
I was just saying that pretty much Steve Stilvani in the 1999 preliminary final stood directly across from me. I saw him move a couple of positions to get in line with me just to try and psych me out. So I've never seen that, but I'll be interested to see whether they try it on the Swans, who are a more mature side, if they can get to the preliminary final.
Tex Walker, that was the catalyst for that. Pre-game, he had his hands full. Tossed the coin, came back, he needed a bit more touch just to finish him off. What about this touch? And did it on purpose. I meant that, says Tex, and walks back to the huddle. And he was good early. I thought his hit-up was really important. Hey, I'm well out in front. I'm not sure I can be beaten in this, but let's have a look at it. Time for our lift hard hitting moments. Once again, we've delved into the Barry Hall archives. And on first, Here's Big Mummy. Didn't do much of this on Thursday night, has to be said, but that is a lift, hard-hitting moment of the highest order.
It took him a long time to recover there, Duncan, guess.
Yeah, but he didn't want to stay down either, Mitch Duncan,
No.
which is what I loved.
Now, I'm going to bring you something special, guys. This is our man Lordo against Glenn Manton. What's the staging here?
Oh,
Karate chop,
I'm
down.
not sure why I grabbed my nose there either, because it hit me on the neck.
that was a double Malachi crunch.
Yeah.
I think it's
High contact. You
Happy with the hair there too, Lordo?
I think that's a harder hit than probably it looks on TV.
Yeah, thanks, guys. No. Hey, I just want to watch this one. Big Richo man.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's just gone bang in a big match of football. He's at Jared Crouch, who's Ben Matthews, sorry, on the end of that one. But good work, Richo man. But Gary, I agree, you've taken the points here.
No, I'm giving him the demo. I think you was underestimated that hit on you. Very nice work, thank you, boys. The wash-ups are continuing, by the way, this week. We'll look at the two teams who exited the final series with the Bombers and Port Adelaide in the spotlight. Thank you for joining us on Access All Areas, and goodbye.